Chapter 1. The Forgotten Archives. The archives were quiet. The room smelled faintly of paper, dust, and polished wood. Light streamed in through small windows, soft and golden, catching particles that drifted lazily in the still air. Cabinets stood in long, even rows, metal handles smooth from years of careful use. Boxes filled with folders and documents were stacked neatly on shelves, some so old their edges were frayed, the paper delicate beneath a careful touch. It was a place that seemed outside of time, where the world paused, and silence carried a weight heavier than sound. For decades, these files had sat untouched. Their contents were a quiet testimony to moments of human curiosity, careful observation, and unanswered questions. Men and women had written their notes, documented sightings, and filed reports, unaware that some of these documents would remain unopened for generations. Each folder was a small universe of thought, a record of wonder, fear, and careful consideration. Researchers who first discovered the forgotten archives described the feeling of entering the room like stepping into another world. Their footsteps echoed softly across the floor. Each drawer they opened revealed papers lined with precise handwriting, official stamps, and annotations that hinted at something more than the mundane. Some folders were full of numbers, charts, and diagrams. Others contained photographs, maps, or witness statements. Every document seemed to breathe quietly, as if it had been waiting patiently for someone to read it. Among the files were accounts of lights in the sky. Some described bright flashes that moved in ways no known aircraft could replicate. Others told of glowing objects that hovered silently, then vanished without trace. Witnesses ranged from ordinary citizens to trained pilots and military personnel. Their voices were captured on paper, calm and detailed, filled with observation and a desire to report the unexplainable with clarity. There were letters, too, from people who feared ridicule. They wrote carefully, hoping someone would believe them. Each letter carried a gentle urgency, the quiet plea for understanding. The researchers handled these with care, knowing that every note, no matter how simple, was part of a larger story, a story that spanned decades, continents, and the quiet spaces between what was seen and what could be explained. The air in the archives was still, yet full of presence. Each file, each page, seemed to vibrate softly with the memory of what had been recorded. Time had passed, but the words remained fresh, carrying the weight of curiosity, of observation, and of the unknown. It was a quiet energy, not loud or frightening, but steady, patient, and absorbing. Researchers moved slowly, letting their hands linger on the edges of folders. They read lines carefully, noting the names, dates, locations, and descriptions of the strange occurrences. Each account added another thread to the tapestry of wonder. Some were mundane at first glance, but closer inspection revealed odd details, precise patterns in the movement of lights, unexpected reports from multiple locations, corroborations between witnesses who had never met. The evidence was subtle but compelling, an invitation to imagine and to wonder. Some documents were heavily classified, stamped with words that suggested urgency, secrecy, or importance. Others were simple, plain reports that carried quiet weight in their own way. The mixture of mundane and extraordinary created a rhythm in the archives, a soft ebb and flow between the known and the unknown. It was easy to lose track of hours while moving between cabinets, reading page after page, letting the quiet stories settle into the mind. The archives themselves seemed to breathe. The windows let in gentle sunlight that shifted slowly across the room. Dust motes floated like tiny stars in the air, catching the light as if they too were part of the stories contained in the boxes. The silence was not empty. It held history, attention, and a quiet reverence for the human desire to understand what could not be fully explained. Even after the researchers left for the day, closing cabinets carefully and leaving the lights low, the archives remained alive with memory. Every folder, every piece of paper, continued to hold its secrets, waiting for the next pair of hands to trace the lines of text, to read the careful words of those who had witnessed the strange, and to marvel at the mysteries that time had not erased. The forgotten archives were a sanctuary for the unexplained, a quiet place where curiosity was preserved in ink and paper. They invited patience, gentle thought, and reflection. They reminded anyone who entered that there is more in the world than the ordinary, more than the visible, more than what can be captured in a single lifetime. And they held their secrets calmly, waiting for those who could look, listen, and imagine, patiently, endlessly, under the soft light of quiet discovery. Chapter 2. The New Mexico desert stretches quietly, a vast expanse of sand, rock, and sky. The wind moves softly across the plains, shifting the sand and carrying the faint scent of sagebrush. The mountains rise in the distance, slow and steady, their colors muted in the early morning light. The sun spreads warmth across the landscape, gentle and golden, and the earth seems calm, almost timeless, as if it has always been waiting, quietly, for what was about to unfold. In the summer of 1947, the desert became the center of attention, though at the time, few could have imagined it. Something had fallen from the sky, an object moving faster than anyone could have predicted. Its journey ended in quiet disruption, debris scattered across the ground like fragile remnants of a dream. Locals who first discovered the pieces described them as strange and unlike anything they had seen before. The materials were light yet strong, smooth yet resistant, puzzling in ways that challenged imagination and understanding. News traveled slowly at first. Ranchers and neighbors shared their accounts in hushed tones, careful not to seem foolish. Their voices carried both wonder and caution. Objects that shimmered in the sunlight, twisted shapes that bent and reflected light in odd ways, fragments that seemed impossible to break. People handled them carefully, unsure whether they were witnessing something extraordinary or simply an accident of nature. Soon, the story reached the authorities. The military moved quickly, quietly gathering the scattered debris. Trucks rumbled across the desert, moving under the soft light of dawn. Personnel handled the fragments with care, cataloging each piece, noting its properties, and transporting them to secure locations. The air was filled with a sense of quiet urgency, not panic, but deliberate attention. The desert returned to calm almost immediately, leaving only footprints and subtle impressions in the sand as evidence of what had passed. Headlines began to appear. Newspapers carried the words, tentative and careful, describing an unidentified object found in the desert. The reports were short and matter-of-fact. Some suggested it was a weather balloon, others hinted at more mysterious possibilities. Yet even as explanations were offered, doubt lingered. The fragments seemed unusual. They reflected light differently. They bent in ways that ordinary metals could not. Witnesses maintained the memory of what they saw with careful precision, quietly questioning the explanations provided. Over time, the story grew in the public imagination. Photographs captured small portions of debris, though the full scope remained unseen. Letters and interviews preserved first-hand accounts. People remembered the glimmering fragments, the strange shapes, the eerie quiet of the desert where the crash occurred. Each memory carried with it a sense of wonder, a gentle thrill that something beyond understanding had briefly touched the earth. The official explanations were swift and calm. Weather balloons, surveillance projects, and test equipment were named. Statements were issued, reports filed, and the public was assured that nothing extraordinary had occurred. Yet the memories remained. They lingered in the minds of witnesses, in the small notebooks of researchers, and in the quiet corners of libraries where accounts were preserved. The desert had returned to stillness, but the story had not ended. In the decades that followed, the Roswell incident became a touchstone. Researchers revisited the archives, examining photographs, letters, and reports. They compared accounts, noting consistencies and anomalies. The desert, once again quiet, seemed to hold the memory of the event like a secret. The sand, the rock, and the wind remembered the fragments that had fallen, keeping them safe in the gentle folds of time. The desert itself seemed to encourage reflection. Standing there, one could imagine the object falling through the sky, moving faster than clouds, brighter than the sun's reflection on metal. One could picture fragments scattering in all directions, some landing softly in sand, others caught on the low shrubs, each one a delicate proof of a brief, extraordinary encounter. The mind could wander slowly, gently, through what had been seen, felt, and remembered. People spoke of the event in calm tones. Children listened to stories of lights and debris, of strange shapes, and hurried officials. Adults recalled the uncertainty, the sense of witnessing something extraordinary, and not knowing whether to fear or marvel. The story grew slowly, like a quiet river carving its path through memory, leaving gentle impressions on all who thought about it. Even now the desert remains. The mountains hold their slow, patient watch. The sand shifts in quiet rhythms. The wind moves softly over the earth. Those who visit can imagine the fragments scattered across the plains, the glimmering remnants of something from above, waiting silently to be remembered. The story does not shout. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, quietly, like the stars above the desert at night, vast, calm, and endlessly mysterious. The Roswell incident became more than a story. It became a gentle invitation to wonder. It reminded people that the universe is vast, that the skies above hold secrets yet unseen, and that some mysteries are meant to be held in quiet attention rather than solved immediately. Each fragment, each memory, each report contributes to a tapestry of curiosity, stretching across time and space, linking observers with those who came after them in a chain of quiet fascination. Chapter 3. Project Blue Book. The offices of Project Blue Book were quiet, yet full of soft activity. Rows of desks stood in neat formation, each covered with papers, reports, photographs, and charts. Lamps cast warm circles of light across typewritten pages, illuminating careful notes and small diagrams. The air smelled faintly of ink, paper, and polished wood, a calm and steady presence that seemed to encourage focus and reflection. People moved slowly between desks, carrying folders, jotting observations, or reviewing reports, their footsteps soft against the carpeted floors. Project Blue Book was the official United States Air Force investigation into unidentified flying objects. From 1952 to 1969, the program collected, catalogued, and analyzed more than 12,000 reports. Each report was a quiet testimony to the unknown, the unexplained, and the remarkable. The investigators approached their work with patience and care, knowing that every observation mattered, whether it seemed ordinary or extraordinary. Some reports were simple: a light in the sky that moved slowly, a disc-shaped object that glimmered at sunset, or a strange pattern of illumination over a rural town. These were catalogued and often explained. Some were identified as weather balloons, aircraft, or celestial phenomena. Others, though mundane at first glance, carried subtle anomalies that invited careful scrutiny. Every report was an opportunity to study, to observe, to understand. Other reports were more puzzling. Pilots described lights that accelerated beyond known aircraft capabilities. Civilians recounted shapes that hovered silently, then disappeared without a trace. Instruments sometimes recorded blips that vanished before explanation. Each observation was documented meticulously, a record of what had been seen, measured, or felt. The investigators approached these cases with calm curiosity, not alarm, noting every detail with careful attention. Photographs were studied under magnifying lenses, charts were compared across regions and dates, and notes were carefully cross-referenced. Some investigators worked late into the night, reviewing accounts from remote towns, deserts, and airports, tracing patterns, searching for connections that could explain the extraordinary. The work was steady, deliberate, and quietly fascinating, like following a trail of light through a darkened sky. Witness statements were particularly important. Farmers, pilots, military personnel, and ordinary citizens described what they had seen, sometimes with trembling hands or quiet awe. Their words were recorded, transcribed, and filed, preserving not only the facts but the feelings of those who encountered the unexplained. Investigators listened carefully, asking questions gently, recording observations in a way that respected both the witness and the mystery they described. Maps on walls displayed clusters of sightings, lines tracing the movement of lights, symbols indicating times and conditions. The room felt alive with the quiet pulse of observation. Each mark on a map represented a person who paused to notice something remarkable, someone who felt the gentle weight of the unknown and recorded it for others to consider. The maps grew over time, forming a tapestry of curiosity that stretched across the nation. Some cases were never explained, blips on radar that vanished in seconds, lights in the sky that moved in impossible formations, shapes that defied identification or measurement. Investigators did not panic. They did not dismiss. They catalogued, observed, and noted the unknown, understanding that mystery itself can be a teacher, and that not all questions are meant to be answered immediately. The program produced reports and studies that were circulated among military and government officials. Explanations were offered where possible. Patterns were analyzed. Yet even in the calm of scientific inquiry, the unknown persisted. Some documents were classified, kept under lock and key, while others were shared with the public, offering glimpses into a world where observation met the unexplained. The work of Project Blue Book was methodical, patient, and ongoing. Investigators understood the importance of detail, of accurate recording, of gentle persistence. They knew that even the smallest observation could provide insight into the extraordinary. And in this quiet dedication, the program itself became a testament to the human desire to understand, to watch, and to respect the unknown. In offices lined with books and cabinets, researchers sat quietly, reviewing reports from decades past. They compared accounts, noting consistencies and anomalies. Each file was a story, a quiet record of wonder. Some observers remembered faint lights that seemed to pulse. Others described objects that vanished instantly. Every account contributed to a growing understanding, even if full understanding remained just out of reach. Project Blue Book closed in 1969, but its records endure. Thousands of pages preserve observations, patterns, and mysteries, waiting for those who wish to explore them gently. The reports are not loud. They do not demand attention. They simply exist, like stars in a calm night sky, reminding those who look carefully that the world is full of wonder, of the unexplained, and of mysteries that deserve patient, respectful observation. Even now, when researchers open the files, light catches on the pages, dust drifts lazily in sunbeams, and the quiet weight of history presses gently against the mind. Observations are read slowly, carefully, with attention to every detail. Each page is a whisper from the past, a gentle nudge toward curiosity, reflection, and wonder. Project Blue Book was not about panic or sensationalism. It was about careful watching, gentle analysis, and the patient acknowledgement that the universe can surprise. It reminds us that curiosity is a quiet, persistent companion, that questions are not burdens, that the act of observing is a form of connection, a slow and deliberate engagement with a world that refuses to be fully understood. And so the files remain. The photographs, the maps, the charts, and the notes are preserved, carrying the calm legacy of those who watched the skies with attention, patience, and respect. They invite anyone who reads them to pause, to imagine, to notice, and to feel the quiet thrill of the unexplained stretching across decades, across space, across human experience. Chapter 4. The Washington D.C. Sightings. The night sky over Washington D.C. was vast and still, stretched across the city like a deep velvet blanket. The stars shimmered quietly, steady and patient, as if watching the world below with gentle curiosity. The air was warm, carrying faint scents from the streets and parks, soft and unhurried. People looked up occasionally, noticing the familiar patterns of constellations, the slow drifting of clouds, and the occasional plane tracing a quiet path through the night. In July of 1952, The calm of the city's skies was disrupted by something extraordinary. Bright lights appeared, moving with a grace that no conventional aircraft could achieve. Pilots, radar operators, and ordinary citizens alike reported unusual objects. The lights moved silently, suddenly changing speed and direction. They appeared in groups, then separated, leaving trails that glimmered faintly against the backdrop of stars. For those who witnessed them, the sight was both mesmerizing and perplexing, a gentle mystery unfolding above familiar streets and landmarks. Radar operators at Washington National Airport noticed blips on their screens that did not match the expected paths of planes. They followed the movements carefully, adjusting their instruments, noting speeds and trajectories that seemed impossible. The blips moved quickly, disappeared briefly, and reappeared elsewhere in patterns that defied explanation. Despite careful monitoring, the objects seemed to resist identification, leaving those who watched with a calm, quiet curiosity rather than alarm. Pilots in the area reported similar observations. Lights hovered silently, then accelerated rapidly, shifting from one part of the sky to another. They moved with precision and purpose, yet no sound accompanied them. Pilots described the sensation of watching something alive, something that had intention, something that existed just beyond the limits of understanding. Instruments often recorded partial readings, shadows, and faint glimmers, yet the full shape of the objects remained elusive, leaving only impressions in memory. Witnesses across the city noticed the lights. Families at home, people walking along quiet streets, and those tending late-night duties saw the phenomena with calm astonishment. They described bright points of light that moved independently, changed direction without warning, and vanished into the night sky without a trace. Some tried to follow them with binoculars or cameras, capturing faint glimpses but never the full form. The quietness of the city seemed to emphasize the strangeness of the sight, the unusual presence in an otherwise ordinary night. Government officials took notice. Air Force personnel began coordinating reports, comparing radar data with eyewitness accounts. Analysts worked through the night, reviewing flight paths, weather conditions, and prior sightings. Every piece of information was treated with careful attention. The conversations were quiet and deliberate, as people tried to reconcile the known with the unknown. Patterns emerged, yet no clear explanation presented itself. The events were unusual, methodical, and persistent. The lights moved in ways that challenged understanding. They hovered silently, then darted at rapid speeds. They formed patterns that suggested observation rather than chaos. Each movement was precise, as if controlled by something aware of its surroundings. Pilots and radar operators alike noted the calm, deliberate nature of the objects. The sighting was not threatening. It was quiet, serene, and profoundly curious, leaving observers with the sense that the universe was far more subtle and mysterious than anyone had imagined. The city itself seemed to absorb the wonder. Lights glimmered off buildings and cars, but none compared to the movements in the sky. Streets were quiet as people paused to look upward, noting the change in the familiar pattern of the night. Even those unaware of the phenomenon felt a subtle shift, an energy in the calm that was different from ordinary nights. The sky carried a gentle tension, a soft excitement, a quiet invitation to imagine and wonder. Official reports were cautious. Explanations suggested temperature inversions, misidentified planes, and other atmospheric phenomena. Analysts carefully considered each possibility, cataloging data, comparing observations, and cross-checking radar logs. Yet, even with all the careful study, some aspects of the sightings resisted explanation. The objects moved in ways that defied physics as understood at the time. Witnesses maintained consistency in their accounts. Radar blips persisted without matching known aircraft. The mystery endured, calmly and quietly, like a gentle puzzle waiting to be solved. Researchers revisited the reports in the years that followed. They studied radar screens, re-examined notes, and interviewed witnesses who still recalled the night with a mixture of wonder and calm curiosity. Some described the soft thrill of seeing the lights dance silently above, the feeling of being a small observer in a vast, mysterious universe. Others remembered the precision and unpredictability of the movement, the quiet tension of watching something beyond comprehension unfold in real time. Washington, D.C. was a city of power and order, yet in that night sky, for a brief period, control seemed suspended. Objects moved with quiet autonomy, and the human eye was invited to witness without interference. The observers learned patience and attention, following the gentle ballet of lights and motion with respect and calm fascination. No alarm, no rush, no insistence on immediate understanding, only observation, reflection, and a quiet acceptance that some mysteries exist for their own subtle purpose. Even decades later, the city remembers. The reports remain in archives. Photographs and radar charts exist as traces of the events. Pilots recall the sensation of following the lights. Radar operators remember the patterns, and civilians preserve memories in their quiet, personal ways. The story does not shout. It does not demand belief. It exists as a gentle reminder that the universe contains wonders that are patient, subtle, and enduring, inviting us to observe carefully, imagine freely, and rest in the calm of quiet mystery. And so, the night sky continues. Stars shine, clouds drift, and the city moves below in its steady rhythm. The memory of those lights persists quietly in the mind, a gentle presence in the expanse of the heavens. For those who witness them, for those who study them, and for anyone who chooses to look upward, the Washington, D.C. sightings of 1952 remain a soft, enduring invitation to wonder, to watch, and to feel the quiet thrill of the unknown stretched across the vast, infinite sky. Chapter 5. The Rendlesham Forest Incident. Rendlesham Forest stretches quietly in Suffolk, England, its trees tall and still, forming a soft canopy that filters the sunlight during the day and shadows the ground at night. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of pine and damp earth. Leaves rustle gently in the wind, and the forest floor is a quiet mosaic of fallen branches, soft moss, and scattered leaves. It is a place of calm, isolation, and patience, where sounds travel slowly and time seems to bend to the rhythm of nature. In December of 1980, this quiet forest became the center of an extraordinary series of events. Multiple United States Air Force personnel stationed nearby reported strange lights moving among the trees. The observations began with small flickers of light, distant and subtle, yet distinct against the darkness. The witnesses, trained and disciplined, approached the phenomenon with careful attention, moving quietly through the forest to observe, measure, and record. The first lights appeared as faint glimmers at the edge of the trees. Observers described them as glowing orbs, hovering silently, then moving with sudden bursts of speed that seemed impossible for conventional objects. The lights changed color, shifting from soft white to a gentle red, then to a pale blue, illuminating the forest in gentle pulses. Each movement was deliberate, quiet, and precise, leaving the witnesses in a state of calm astonishment. As the events continued over multiple nights, the activity grew more pronounced. The lights moved in patterns, hovering near the ground, then rising smoothly into the canopy. Shadows shifted across the forest floor. Trees bent slightly under unseen influence, and the air seemed charged with a subtle, almost imperceptible energy. Observers noted impressions in the soft soil, marks that suggested the passage of something heavy or unusual, yet no conventional vehicle or object could account for them. Physical evidence was subtle but compelling. Small indentations appeared in the ground, symmetrical and carefully formed, as if left by a machine or creature that moved with exacting purpose. Tree bark bore unusual marks, shallow and evenly spaced, suggesting contact without damage. Photographs captured faint glows and reflections, while radar screens in nearby stations recorded brief anomalies that vanished as quickly as they appeared. The combination of visual, tactile, and electronic evidence created a quiet, persistent puzzle that invited careful reflection. Witnesses described a range of sensations during their observations. Some felt a soft vibration in the ground beneath their feet. Others noticed a gentle warmth or a subtle change in air pressure. The forest itself seemed to respond to the presence of the lights, as if the entire environment acknowledged something unusual passing through it. Yet there was no fear, only curiosity, careful attention, and a deep awareness of the unknown. The witnesses recorded their observations with diligence. Notebooks, sketches, photographs, and verbal reports were preserved with meticulous care. They described the light's movement, color, and behavior in detail, noting every change and pattern. They compared accounts among themselves, seeking consistency and understanding. Each observation was treated as significant, a small piece of a larger, ongoing mystery that unfolded quietly beneath the forest canopy. As nights passed, the lights sometimes seemed to interact with the observers. They hovered near the edges of paths, moving as if aware of attention, then retreating into the trees. The witnesses maintained calm, moving carefully, recording details without interference. The forest was a silent companion, absorbing the events without disturbance, holding the memories of each movement, each flicker, and each impression for those who observed. Even after the lights disappeared, their presence lingered. Indentations in the ground remained, fading slowly under the weight of fallen leaves and soft rain. Tree markings persisted, subtle, yet undeniable. Radar anomalies were archived for future analysis. The forest returned to its normal rhythm, yet the memory of the event endured in the minds of those who had witnessed it. The quiet energy of the unknown remained palpable, an invitation to reflect, to observe, and to imagine. The Rendlesham Forest incident was not a single moment but a series of events, unfolding gently over time. Observers noted patterns, compared data, and considered possibilities, yet no explanation could account for every detail. The lights behaved in ways that challenged conventional understanding, yet they caused no harm. Their presence was calm, deliberate, and intriguing, offering a subtle lesson in the patient observation of the extraordinary. Over time, researchers revisited the records, interviewing witnesses, examining photographs, and reviewing sketches. The impressions in the forest were studied carefully. Radar anomalies were analyzed for consistency. Every detail was noted, recorded, and preserved. The quiet persistence of these records allows anyone who studies them to feel the slow, patient unfolding of mystery, as if the forest itself remembers and invites curiosity. Even decades later, Rendlesham Forest retains its quiet presence. Visitors can walk the paths, feel the soft earth beneath their feet, notice the gentle sway of the trees, and imagine the lights that once danced silently among them. The forest carries its memory without disturbance, preserving the calm, patient wonder of those nights in 1980. Every tree, every leaf, and every shadow seems to hold a gentle echo of what occurred, a quiet invitation to observe, imagine, and reflect on the vast, unknown possibilities of the world above and around. The Rendlesham Forest incident is more than a report. It is a reminder that the universe can surprise, that the extraordinary can appear quietly and deliberately, and that the act of observing, recording, and reflecting can be a gentle journey into mystery. The forest, the lights, and the memories of those who watched remain intertwined, a calm tapestry of wonder that endures, patiently, silently, and beautifully. Chapter 6. The Belgium Wave. The skies over Belgium stretched quietly, a broad expanse of soft blues by day, and deep, endless black by night. Rolling fields, quiet towns, and dense forests lay below, serene and still, with only the occasional car, train, or rustling animal to break the calm. The wind moved gently across the landscape, brushing leaves and swaying branches in a soft, unhurried rhythm. It was the kind of place where the mind could wander freely, tracing thoughts across the horizon, while the earth remained patient, steady, and unchanging. In late 1989 and early 1990, observers across the country noticed something unusual. Dozens of reports came from civilians, police officers, and even military personnel. People described silent triangular craft gliding through the sky. These objects were large yet moved without sound, their edges sharp but subtle, catching faint reflections of streetlights, moonlight, or distant stars. Observers reported smooth, precise movement, often hovering or shifting position slowly, then accelerating suddenly, as if the laws of ordinary motion did not apply. Witnesses described the craft in remarkable detail. They noted the size and shape, the glowing lights at the corners, and the unusual way the objects seemed to appear and disappear without a trace. Some observed the crafts for minutes, others for hours, carefully following their movement across the sky. The air was often still during these sightings, emphasizing the quiet, deliberate presence of the objects above, and the observers felt a sense of calm awe, a gentle fascination that made them pause, breathe, and simply watch. The sightings were reported from different regions across Belgium, forming a slow wave of observation over weeks and months. Police officers on patrol noted the unusual shapes, often stopping their vehicles to observe and record details. Citizens looked out windows, sometimes using binoculars or cameras, capturing faint images of the lights and silhouettes. Even military radar stations picked up anomalies, blips that did not match the expected behavior of conventional aircraft. The quiet coordination of sightings formed a tapestry of calm, persistent mystery that stretched across the country. Observers remembered subtle sensations. Some described a faint vibration in the ground, a soft hum in the air, or the way the wind seemed to shift as the craft passed overhead. Others recalled the feeling of being watched, or of a presence moving deliberately in harmony with the environment. Yet there was no fear, only quiet attention and patient curiosity, a slow engagement with something beyond ordinary experience. Photographs and sketches were carefully prepared. Police reports contained precise diagrams of the triangles, measurements of angles, distances, and relative positions in the sky. Witnesses collaborated, comparing notes, verifying observations, and creating detailed accounts of the movement, lights, and behavior. Each document was preserved with care, capturing not just the sighting but the gentle rhythm of observation, reflection, and wonder. The triangular craft often moved in patterns that suggested intention. They hovered silently over forests, fields, and towns. They shifted direction with smooth precision, sometimes forming formations of 2 or 3 objects, then separating and rejoining in subtle choreography. Radar operators confirmed the presence of anomalies, noting speed, acceleration, and movement that seemed impossible for conventional aircraft. Every observation contributed to a slow, unfolding mystery, patient and calm, inviting careful attention rather than urgency or alarm. People spoke of the experience with a mixture of calm, excitement, and reflection. Families watched together, sharing quiet moments under the night sky. Policemen noted the patterns in reports, recording them with precision and care. Researchers revisited archives, reviewing photographs, charts, and notes. Every observation was a piece of a larger, ongoing puzzle, a gentle invitation to imagine, reflect, and wonder at the subtle intricacies of the unknown. Even years later, the memory of the Belgium wave persists. The photographs, reports, and radar data remain, patiently waiting for those who wish to explore them. Observers reflect on the events quietly, remembering the soft lights, the precise movements, and the calm presence of something extraordinary in the sky. The experience was not loud, dramatic, or frightening. It was serene, subtle, and enduring, offering a gentle lesson in the beauty of careful observation and patient curiosity. Belgium's fields and forests continue to stretch quietly beneath the sky. Night falls, stars glimmer, and the wind moves softly through the trees. Visitors can imagine the triangular craft moving silently overhead, gliding through the heavens with precision, patience, and quiet intention. The memory of those months in 1989 and 1990 remains alive, carried in reports, photographs, and the minds of those who looked upward with attention. The Belgium wave reminds us that the universe is patient. It shows that extraordinary phenomena can appear softly, deliberately, and without disruption. It encourages careful observation, gentle reflection, and an appreciation for mysteries that endure without insistence on immediate understanding. The objects, the reports, and the memories all coexist in quiet harmony, offering a slow, calming invitation to notice, imagine, and appreciate the vast unknown stretched above the familiar world. The sky continues. Clouds drift, stars shine, and the earth remains steady. Lights move silently across distant horizons, and the mind is free to wander through the memory of what was seen. The Belgium wave is not gone. It exists as a gentle, enduring presence, a quiet reminder that the extraordinary can appear calmly, unexpectedly, and beautifully, leaving behind only wonder, reflection, and the soft rhythm of patient attention to the mysteries of the sky. Chapter 7. The Nimitz Encounters, 2004. The Pacific Ocean stretches endlessly, calm and patient, beneath the wide, open sky. Waves roll slowly, their rhythm steady and unhurried, the surface reflecting the sunlight in gentle ripples during the day and a soft silver glow under the moon at night. The air carries the faint scent of salt and warm water, moving softly over the decks of ships and across the distant horizon. It is a place of stillness and quiet, where time seems to stretch and breathe alongside the ocean itself. In 2004, off the coast of California, United States Navy personnel aboard the aircraft carrier Nimitz noticed something unusual. Pilots, radar operators, and ship crews reported objects moving in ways that seemed impossible. The encounters began with radar blips that appeared suddenly, accelerating and decelerating with precision that defied conventional physics. The objects were small at first glance, shaped like tic-tacs, yet their movement was deliberate, smooth, and entirely unaccompanied by sound. Observers noted a subtle sense of intelligence in the way they moved, a quiet choreography across the sky. Pilots described the sensation of following the objects with both curiosity and awe. They approached carefully, observing the shapes, speed, and maneuverability. The objects ascended, descended, and shifted laterally with fluid precision. Attempts to intercept them with conventional aircraft revealed that the objects were capable of sudden bursts of speed far beyond known capabilities. Instruments recorded anomalies, readings that defied simple explanation, yet the pilots themselves remained calm, documenting observations with careful attention and steady focus. Radar operators experienced similar wonder. Blips appeared on screens, vanishing and reappearing, sometimes multiple times within minutes. The movement did not match any aircraft or missile profiles. Operators noted acceleration that exceeded known limits, sudden stops, and precise changes in direction. The calm rhythm of their monitoring contrasted with the extraordinary phenomena unfolding above the ocean. Each observation was recorded meticulously, charted carefully, and considered in quiet reflection. The encounters lasted several days, with multiple pilots and personnel witnessing the objects. Observers described the tic-tac shapes as smooth, white, and seamless, almost otherworldly in their simplicity. They hovered silently, then accelerated with astonishing speed, sometimes disappearing entirely before reappearing in unexpected positions. Witnesses noted a subtle awareness in the objects, the sense that their movements were intentional, deliberate, and cognizant of human observation. The calm of the ocean and sky contrasted sharply with the extraordinary nature of the events. Waves rolled quietly beneath the decks, the sun set slowly in the distance, and the wind moved softly across the ship. Pilots and crews moved methodically, documenting everything they observed. Cameras, instruments, and radar systems captured fragments of evidence, each a quiet testament to the anomaly in a serene, almost ordinary environment. Physical evidence was subtle but compelling. Radar recordings, cockpit videos, and flight logs preserved the encounters. Each piece was analyzed with care, cross-referenced with witness testimony, and compared against known aircraft and missile capabilities. Analysts noted consistency in observations, repeated patterns in movement, and behaviors that challenged all known understanding. The evidence formed a quiet narrative, one that spoke not of fear, but of deliberate observation, meticulous study, and patient curiosity. Witnesses recalled their own emotional experiences during the encounters. Some described awe at the sight of the objects moving with such precision. Others noted a quiet exhilaration, a thrill tempered by calm professional focus. There was no panic, only steady engagement with the unknown. Observers found themselves humbled by the experience, feeling small beneath the vast sky, aware of something remarkable moving silently and deliberately beyond ordinary perception. Even after the encounters concluded, the memory remained vivid. Pilots and radar operators reflected on what they had seen, reviewing recordings and reports carefully. The objects had vanished as mysteriously as they appeared, leaving behind only subtle traces in instruments, photographs, and recollection. Yet the quiet sense of wonder persisted, a slow, gentle realization that the world contains phenomena beyond immediate explanation, phenomena that invite observation, reflection, and patient curiosity. Researchers in the following years revisited the reports, analyzing radar data, flight logs, and video footage. Interviews with pilots captured the calm precision of their observations. Analysts noted the consistency and detail of the accounts, the careful attention to description, and the deliberate recording of every unusual movement. The encounters were studied not for sensationalism, but as part of a quiet, methodical inquiry into the extraordinary. The Pacific sky remains above the location where the Nimitz encounters occurred. Waves continue their gentle rhythm, the sun rises and sets, and the wind moves softly across the ocean. The memory of the tic-tac objects endures, preserved in recordings, reports, and human recollection. They remind us that the universe contains mysteries that are patient, deliberate, and subtle. The extraordinary can appear without alarm, move with calm precision, and leave observers in awe while maintaining silence and serenity. The Nimitz encounters are a lesson in patient observation. They show that phenomena can defy expectation, exist without noise, and inspire reflection and curiosity. Pilots and radar operators demonstrated calm professionalism, careful documentation, and steady engagement with what they could not fully explain. The ocean, sky, and objects together create a tableau of quiet mystery, an enduring invitation to look upward, to observe carefully, and to appreciate the subtle, persistent wonders that exist just beyond ordinary understanding. The encounters are not loud or demanding. They do not shout for attention. They exist as quiet ripples in memory and evidence, waiting for those who will approach with patience, observation, and calm curiosity. They remind us that the universe is vast, that the sky above us is filled with subtle wonders, and that the act of watching, reflecting, and documenting can itself be a serene journey into mystery. And so, above the Pacific, the sky stretches wide, calm, and eternal. Pilots and observers remember, analysts review, and the memory of tic-tac objects persists. Waves move quietly across the ocean, the wind brushes softly against the ship, and the universe waits patiently, offering quiet mysteries for those willing to notice, reflect, and rest in the gentle awe of the unknown. Chapter 8. The Pentagon's Secret Program. The Pentagon sits quietly in Arlington, Virginia, a vast structure of stone and concrete stretching across the landscape. Inside, the corridors are long and calm, lined with offices, briefing rooms, and secure areas. The soft hum of lights, the faint echo of footsteps, and the occasional shuffle of papers create a steady, patient rhythm. The air carries a subtle scent of polished floors, coffee, and paper, blending into the background of deliberate activity. It is a place of organization, observation, and careful attention. In the early 2000s, a secret program operated within these walls. The Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program studied unusual aerial phenomena with a quiet intensity. The program was not a rush to conclusions. It was a patient, methodical investigation, collecting reports from pilots, radar operators, and observers across the country. Each account was noted, documented, and analyzed, forming a calm tapestry of mystery and evidence. Reports came in from multiple sources. Navy pilots described objects moving in ways that seemed impossible, executing sudden acceleration, instantaneous stops, and sharp turns without noise. Radar operators recorded blips that appeared and disappeared, challenging conventional understanding. Civilians reported strange lights in the sky, large formations moving silently over cities, deserts, and oceans. Every observation was taken seriously, each piece of data preserved for careful study. Inside the program, analysts reviewed photographs, video footage, radar logs, and witness statements. Each document was catalogued meticulously. Observers compared accounts, looking for patterns, consistencies, and anomalies. The atmosphere was calm and deliberate, a quiet dedication to understanding without panic or haste. Every detail mattered, and the investigators approached their work with patience, knowing that subtle observations could hold significant insights. The cockpit videos, declassified later, show objects moving with remarkable precision. Pilots described the feeling of tracking something intelligent, yet calm, a presence that seemed deliberate without aggression. The videos capture objects accelerating beyond known limits, performing maneuvers that conventional aircraft could not match. Observers noted smooth surfaces, shapes that seemed otherworldly, and the absence of sound. Every frame, every blip, and every movement was preserved as evidence for careful study. The program operated quietly, drawing on intelligence, aerospace engineering, and scientific expertise. Analysts worked methodically, reviewing each report, cross-referencing sources, and seeking explanations grounded in physics, human error, or environmental phenomena. Yet some observations resisted explanation. The objects performed in ways that defied all known understanding, yet they caused no harm. The investigators remained calm, documenting, analyzing, and reflecting, aware that the mystery itself was valuable. Witnesses remembered the encounters vividly. Pilots described a sense of awe, observing objects move with precision and control, unlike anything previously known. Radar operators noted blips that appeared suddenly, vanished instantly, and reappeared in different locations. Civilians recalled silent formations of lights, gliding overhead with elegance. All remembered the calm of the observation, the way the unknown revealed itself slowly, deliberately, and without alarm. Physical evidence was subtle yet compelling. Radar readings, cockpit videos, photographs, and detailed reports were preserved carefully. Each account was treated with the same quiet respect, understanding that observation and documentation were as important as immediate explanation. The program's work emphasized patient reflection, meticulous recording, and careful analysis, reinforcing the value of thoughtful study over reaction or assumption. Researchers later revisited the declassified materials. They analyzed video footage, frame by frame, measured movements, and studied patterns of behavior. Every anomaly was catalogued, compared with past sightings, and assessed for possible explanations. Yet even with careful study, some aspects remained unexplained. The objects moved silently, deliberately, and in ways that challenged the boundaries of conventional understanding. The mystery endured, calmly, patiently, and beautifully. The Pentagon program reminds us that observation is a quiet act. It shows that extraordinary phenomena can be studied methodically, without haste, and with calm attention. Analysts, pilots, and radar operators alike participated in a gentle journey into the unknown, recording what they could and reflecting on what they could not immediately understand. The work was methodical, deliberate, and serene, emphasizing careful engagement over alarm or sensationalism. Even now, the memory of the program remains in archives and recordings. The videos, reports, and radar logs preserve the calm presence of the unknown in a structured environment. Pilots remember the silent objects moving with precision, Radar operators recall blips that disappeared and reappeared without warning. Analysts remember the patient work of observation and documentation, the quiet satisfaction of recording something remarkable, and the enduring wonder of what lies beyond immediate understanding. The sky above the Pentagon continues to stretch wide and endless. Clouds drift slowly, sunlight glimmers on the horizon, and the mind can wander through memory and imagination. The objects observed by the program remain a calm, enduring presence in history. They remind us that the universe is vast, that the unknown can appear without alarm, and that careful observation is a form of connection, a quiet engagement with phenomena beyond ordinary perception. The Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program offers a lesson in patience. It demonstrates that mysteries can be approached calmly, with diligence, attention, and respect. It shows that some phenomena are not meant to be immediately understood but rather observed, studied, and reflected upon gently. The work continues to inspire curiosity, imagination, and a sense of calm wonder for those who explore the records, videos, and accounts. And so, the Pentagon stands quietly under the sky, its halls filled with the memory of careful observation. Pilots, analysts, and radar operators once watched, recorded, and reflected, leaving behind traces of calm engagement with the extraordinary. The sky continues to hold mysteries, and the memory of the secret program endures as a serene invitation to look upward, notice, and appreciate the subtle, persistent wonders of the unknown. Chapter 9. The 2020 Navy Videos. The sky above the ocean stretches endlessly, calm and patient, reflecting shades of blue and silver as the day moves toward evening. The gentle rhythm of waves carries across the water, creating a soft, steady sound that blends with the distant calls of seabirds. The air is cool and carries a faint scent of salt and warm water. The horizon meets the sky in a serene line, calm and unhurried, inviting quiet observation. In 2020, cockpit videos captured by United States Navy personnel revealed something extraordinary. The videos showed unidentified objects moving with incredible speed, sudden changes in direction, and smooth, deliberate motion that challenged all known understanding of aircraft. These encounters had been quietly recorded for years, but the declassification brought them into public awareness, revealing subtle, extraordinary phenomena in plain view. Pilots recalled the experience vividly. While on routine exercises, they observed objects that moved silently, yet with remarkable precision. The shapes varied, often small, elongated, or oval, appearing against the vast backdrop of sky and ocean. The objects hovered for moments, then accelerated to speeds beyond the capabilities of conventional aircraft. Every movement was smooth, deliberate, and silent, leaving pilots in a state of calm, amazement rather than alarm. Radar operators supported these observations, recording anomalies that appeared and vanished unpredictably. The readings showed sudden accelerations, sharp changes in direction, and movement that seemed intentional. Operators noted consistency between visual observation and radar tracking, confirming the presence of something unusual without identifying it. The calm professionalism of these personnel added a serene clarity to the events, documenting without panic, reflecting without haste, and recording the extraordinary with patient attention. The videos themselves are quiet, almost hypnotic in the way they show objects moving through space. They glide, rotate, and shift position with precision, yet make no sound. Pilots describe the sensation of following these objects with eyes and instruments, noting their movements against the backdrop of clouds, sky, and distant ocean. The objects sometimes appear close enough to discern shape, then disappear or change speed, leaving only memory and digital traces. Witnesses reported a mixture of awe and calm focus. Pilots described the experience as watching something alive, intelligent, and deliberate. Observers felt the scale and speed of the objects with a quiet fascination, aware of the extraordinary phenomena unfolding in a familiar environment. Civilians reviewing the videos noted the smoothness of movement, the subtle glow in some frames, and the precise nature of every shift in position. The calm quality of the encounters stands out, suggesting observation without aggression, deliberate motion without haste, and quiet phenomena interacting with the human gaze. Analysis of the footage is meticulous. Each frame is examined, cross-referenced with radar logs, and compared to past sightings. Analysts measure speed, direction, and shape, noting consistencies and anomalies. Observers reflect on what the objects might be, considering everything from atmospheric phenomena to experimental aircraft. Yet some aspects remain inexplicable, leaving a calm, enduring mystery that invites careful observation and quiet contemplation. The videos serve as a reminder of how subtle the extraordinary can be. The objects move deliberately, silently, and without alarming observers. The calm of the ocean and sky enhances the serene mystery, creating a tableau in which humans can observe the extraordinary without disruption. Pilots and radar operators alike emphasize calm, deliberate action, careful documentation, and reflective study. The experience is not chaotic or frightening. It is precise, deliberate, and quietly mesmerizing. Even after months and years, the memory of these encounters remains. Pilots reflect on the sensation of following objects that seemed alive in their movement. Radar operators remember anomalies that resisted simple explanation. Analysts continue to study the footage, noting patterns and preserving careful records. Every observation contributes to a calm, patient understanding that the world holds phenomena beyond ordinary perception, phenomena that appear quietly and deliberately to those who notice. The ocean and sky above the locations of the encounters continue unchanged. Waves roll slowly, reflecting the shifting light of day and night. The horizon remains patient, endless, and serene. The objects in the videos may move beyond human reach, yet the memory of their motion and precision endures in recordings, reports, and reflection. They remind viewers that some mysteries are gentle, subtle, and unhurried, leaving only awe and wonder in their quiet passage. The 2020 Navy videos encourage patient observation and reflection. They show that phenomena can defy expectation, move beyond comprehension, and yet leave no trace of alarm or chaos. Observers are invited to watch, reflect, and appreciate the extraordinary in a calm, deliberate way. The objects exist as a quiet presence, a soft invitation to recognize that the universe contains wonders waiting to be noticed, recorded, and remembered. Even as years pass, the footage remains serene and enduring. Pilots, analysts, and the public reflect on what was seen, measuring and contemplating the subtle, deliberate movements of objects in space. The calm observation and meticulous recording ensure that the encounters are preserved, not as sensational events, but as quiet windows into a larger mystery, a gentle reminder that the unknown can exist without fear, without alarm, and with deliberate beauty. And so, the sky above the oceans continues to stretch wide and calm. Pilots remember the silent objects, radar operators recall anomalies, and analysts continue to study and reflect. The waves roll steadily across the water, the horizon remains patient, and the memory of these encounters endures as a serene invitation to look upward, observe carefully, and rest in the gentle mystery of the world above. Chapter 10. The Mystery That Remains. The night sky stretches endlessly above the earth, vast and patient, filled with stars that glimmer softly in patterns both familiar and unknowable. The air is calm and cool, carrying the faint scent of trees, soil, and distant water. Winds move gently, rustling leaves and stirring grass without hurry. The horizon is a quiet line where earth meets sky, inviting reflection and contemplation. It is a space of stillness, a canvas for thought, and a quiet companion for those who look upward. Despite decades of observation, reports, and investigation, the mysteries of the sky continue to endure. Pilots, radar operators, civilians, and scientists have observed strange objects moving with intelligence and precision. Lights have appeared silently, shapes have shifted in impossible ways, and evidence has accumulated carefully in documents, videos, photographs, and personal memories. Yet, even with all this attention, there is no complete answer, no single explanation that accounts for every detail. The mystery remains patient, calm, and enduring. Observers often describe a sense of awe when recalling what they have seen. Pilots speak of objects moving with precision beyond known physics, gliding silently, accelerating suddenly, and hovering with deliberate control. Radar operators note blips that appear and disappear without warning, measurements that defy logic, and movement that seems intentional. Civilians recall lights floating gracefully across the sky, forming shapes and patterns that remain in memory long after the moment has passed. Every observation adds to a subtle, persistent sense of wonder. The evidence gathered over decades is vast and meticulous. Documents line vaults and archives, photographs and videos are preserved carefully, and eyewitness accounts are recorded with attention to detail. Analysts compare measurements, note consistencies, and study anomalies. Yet every investigation, every analysis, leaves questions unanswered. The unknown is patient and calm, revealing itself in fragments, in fleeting glimpses, and in experiences that resist complete understanding. The mystery is not frightening. It is subtle, deliberate, and quiet, inviting reflection rather than alarm. Observers often describe a slow realization that the universe is larger, stranger, and more complex than everyday life suggests. There is a sense that phenomena exist not to startle or harm, but to encourage attention, reflection, and careful observation. It is a gentle reminder that some questions are meant to remain open, and that the act of noticing itself is a form of engagement with something beyond the ordinary. Even in mundane moments, the memory of observation lingers. A pilot may recall the steady glow of lights during a night flight. A radar operator may remember the sudden appearance of a blip that vanished just as quickly. A civilian may look out a window and think of a formation of silent objects moving gracefully overhead. The recollection is calm, almost meditative, a quiet presence in the mind that invites further reflection without urgency. Researchers continue to study anomalies with patient diligence. Video footage is analyzed frame by frame, radar logs are reviewed meticulously, and witness statements are cross-referenced. Patterns emerge, yet they do not explain everything. The unknown maintains a quiet authority, existing beyond immediate comprehension, gently reminding observers of the limits of human knowledge. Each unanswered question is a small invitation to pause, observe, and consider the vast possibilities that extend beyond the familiar. The natural world remains intertwined with these mysteries. Stars, planets, and clouds continue their slow, steady movement across the sky. Oceans and rivers flow calmly, forests breathe in rhythm with the wind, and deserts shift gradually with the seasons. The extraordinary phenomena recorded by humans coexist with this slow, enduring rhythm of the Earth. The universe does not demand understanding, but it encourages attention, curiosity, and gentle wonder. Even without complete answers, observers find comfort in the mystery itself. There is a serene beauty in realizing that some phenomena exist quietly, deliberately, and persistently, beyond ordinary explanation. The sky invites patient observation, reflection, and imagination. Every flicker of light, every blip on a radar screen, every memory of movement across the heavens is a quiet gift, an opportunity to consider the vastness of what lies beyond human perception. The mystery that remains is both personal and universal. Each observer carries their own memory, their own account of the unknown, yet these experiences are connected across decades and continents. They form a tapestry of quiet wonder, a collection of experiences that invite us to look upward, to reflect on what we know, and to accept what we do not. The unknown is patient, silent, and enduring. It does not rush, it does not demand, and it does not vanish. It exists calmly, waiting for attention and reflection. The stars above continue to shine. The moon glows softly, illuminating the earth with a gentle light. Clouds drift slowly, casting shadows that shift with the rhythm of the wind. The horizon remains steady. The air carries a quiet stillness, and the universe holds its secrets patiently. Observers may rest, close their eyes, and imagine the slow, deliberate movement of objects beyond understanding. They may remember past sightings, reflect on reports, and feel the calm presence of mystery in the sky. The mystery that remains is a reminder of patience. It shows that some knowledge is not immediate, that some understanding must wait. It encourages gentle reflection, careful observation, and appreciation for phenomena that exist quietly and deliberately. The unknown is not a threat but a companion, an invitation to slow down, notice, and rest in the calm wonder of the universe. Chapter 11. The Endless Sky. The sky stretches above the earth with an elegance that is patient and enduring. From the first light of dawn, soft shades of pink and orange slowly blend into pale blue, then deepen into richer tones as the day progresses. Clouds drift lazily across the expanse, moving without urgency, casting gentle shadows that shift slowly over forests, rivers, cities, and deserts. Birds glide in quiet arcs, their wings cutting through the air with a calm rhythm, and the wind moves softly across the land, brushing leaves, grasses, and the surface of water with a gentle touch. Above all this, the vast unknown extends, infinite in its quiet presence. For decades, people have looked upward, noting lights, shapes, and objects that defy expectation. Pilots in military aircraft have traced smooth, silent movements across the horizon. Radar operators have recorded blips that appear and disappear without warning. Civilians have gazed at the night sky from their porches, backyards, and quiet streets, witnessing lights that hover, glide, or shift in ways that ordinary understanding cannot explain. Every observation is part of a slow, unfolding story of curiosity and reflection. The endless sky teaches patience. Each sunrise is gentle, each sunset deliberate, and each star that appears as night falls glows softly against the darkness. People have learned that extraordinary events can occur quietly and without alarm. They exist in fleeting moments, observed by attentive eyes and instruments that capture only fragments of the whole. The calm of observation is itself part of the experience, a gentle engagement with the unknown that asks only for attention and reflection. Witnesses often speak of awe and quiet wonder. Pilots recall the smooth glide of unidentified objects across the heavens, noting acceleration and precision that defies the capabilities of conventional aircraft. Civilians remember glowing lights drifting silently above their neighborhoods, forming shapes that linger in memory long after they disappear. Radar operators recount anomalies that vanish and reappear, recorded meticulously for analysis. Each story contributes to a larger understanding, yet the mystery remains, patient and serene, gently reminding observers that the universe holds wonders beyond ordinary comprehension. The sky is a stage for both the ordinary and the extraordinary. Clouds form and dissolve in their natural patterns. Birds, insects, and small animals move with quiet purpose below. Humans go about their daily routines, often unaware of subtle phenomena above. And yet, in the same space, objects move silently and deliberately, sometimes visible, sometimes only captured on instruments. There is no rush, no urgency, only the persistent presence of the unknown, inviting reflection and quiet curiosity. Time flows differently when observing the sky. Hours can pass in contemplative attention, the movement of clouds or the shifting of stars creating a sense of rhythm and scale. Pilots, radar operators, and civilians alike often describe a slow meditation in which the extraordinary is observed calmly. Each detail is noted, recorded, and reflected upon. The calm engagement allows the mind to rest, to wander, and to imagine the vast possibilities that exist beyond human understanding. Even when objects are not visible, the memory of what has been seen endures. Pilots carry recollections of glowing shapes moving precisely across the horizon. Radar operators retain patterns in their minds that defy conventional interpretation. Civilians speak quietly of lights that hovered, glided, or shifted mysteriously. These memories are not intrusive or alarming. They are gentle reminders of the subtle mysteries that exist beyond everyday life. preserved patiently in thought and recollection. The endless sky is a constant companion. Night after night, stars appear and fade, the moon waxes and wanes, and the vast expanse above remains calm and patient. Observers learn that some mysteries cannot be hurried, explained quickly, or fully understood. They exist in slow rhythms, observed in fragments, and experienced quietly. The act of watching becomes a meditation, a gentle practice in noticing, reflecting, and appreciating the extraordinary without expectation. Researchers and analysts contribute to this slow understanding. They study radar data, photographs, video footage, and witness statements. They compare reports across decades, noting consistencies and anomalies. Even when answers are elusive, the work is steady, deliberate, and calm. Every observation adds to a larger narrative, one that is not hurried, one that values patience, reflection, and careful attention. The mystery of the sky is respected, preserved, and approached with gentle curiosity. The endless sky reminds us of perspective. From the deserts of Arizona to the oceans off the California coast, from cities to rural towns, the heavens remain wide, constant, and infinite. Observers are small beneath its vastness, yet capable of noticing, recording, and reflecting. The calm of the sky invites quiet wonder, reminding humans that extraordinary phenomena may appear anywhere, at any time, and that attentive eyes and patient hearts are all that is needed to engage with them. Even as clouds drift and stars shine, the sky continues to hold its secrets. Objects may move silently, lights may appear without warning, and phenomena may challenge understanding. Observers are invited to watch, notice, and reflect, not to fear or rush. The universe is patient, the sky is patient, and the mystery endures as a gentle, silent presence above. The endless sky offers calm and reflection. It teaches that some knowledge arrives slowly, that some mysteries exist to be observed rather than solved immediately, and that attention and contemplation are themselves valuable. Pilots, radar operators, civilians, and researchers alike participate in this quiet practice, each adding their observations and reflections to a tapestry of understanding that remains open, infinite, and serene. The mystery that remains. The night sky stretches endlessly above the earth, vast, calm, and serene. Stars glimmer softly, scattered across the darkness like quiet sparks of light, each holding its own distant story. The moon rises gently, casting a silver glow over mountains, rivers, forests, and cities. Winds move with quiet patience, brushing leaves and grasses, rippling across oceans and deserts alike. Every sound, every movement is measured, soft, and deliberate. The universe speaks in whispers that only attentive minds can hear, a lullaby of gentle mystery and endless wonder. Throughout history, people have gazed upward with curiosity and awe. Pilots, radar operators, scientists, and ordinary civilians have observed lights, shapes, and movements that defy explanation. Some objects glide silently across the horizon, others hover with precise stillness. Radar blips appear and vanish without warning. Cockpit videos capture objects accelerating and shifting in ways that challenge understanding, and civilians recall formations of light drifting across night skies. Each observation is a thread in the tapestry of human wonder, a subtle reminder that the universe holds mysteries that endure across generations. The calm of the night amplifies the mystery. In deserts, mountains, and open oceans, observers notice the extraordinary without distraction. Pilots trace the movement of glowing shapes, noting acceleration, precision, and silence. Radar operators document blips that move with intelligence beyond current comprehension. Civilians see lights hovering, shifting, and disappearing in a gentle dance above familiar landscapes. Each observer experiences quiet awe, a peaceful awareness that the extraordinary exists alongside the ordinary, patiently waiting to be noticed. The passage of time offers perspective. Years and decades have seen waves of reports, from the earliest sightings in Roswell to the declassified Navy videos of 2020. Each generation brings new witnesses, new evidence, and new reflections. Yet the mystery persists, patient and serene, resisting finality while encouraging careful observation. The unknown does not demand urgency. It simply exists, inviting humanity to observe, wonder, and reflect with quiet attention. Memories of observation linger softly. Pilots remember the smooth glide of objects across the sky, the deliberate acceleration, and the precise control that defies conventional aircraft. Radar operators recall blips appearing and vanishing, leaving only recorded evidence and recollection. Civilians carry quiet memories of glowing lights, hovering or drifting silently overhead. These experiences are soothing rather than alarming, offering calm engagement with phenomena that stretch beyond ordinary understanding. Evidence has been meticulously gathered over decades. Photographs, cockpit videos, radar logs, and witness statements preserve fleeting moments of the extraordinary. Analysts compare reports, note consistencies, and reflect on anomalies. The pursuit of understanding is careful and deliberate, a patient study of patterns, behaviors, and possibilities. Yet even with meticulous attention, the full answer remains elusive, emphasizing the beauty of mystery, the gentle encouragement to imagine, and the enduring sense of wonder that accompanies careful observation. The universe reveals itself subtly. The wind moves softly across oceans and deserts, waves ripple gently beneath the moonlight, and stars trace their quiet paths across the sky. Clouds drift slowly, casting shadows that shift across mountains and plains. In this serene rhythm, extraordinary phenomena appear, moving silently and deliberately, offering glimpses of the unknown without disruption. Observation becomes a meditative act, a practice of noticing, recording, and reflecting on the quiet marvels of existence. Even when the extraordinary is not visible, its memory persists. Pilots, analysts, and civilians carry mental images of shapes and lights, moving with deliberate precision. Radar operators recall unusual patterns and blips, studied in calm concentration. Witnesses share their experiences, connecting generations of observers through patient reflection and shared curiosity. Each recollection is a gentle thread, weaving together a tapestry of mystery and quiet wonder that stretches across time and space. The mystery encourages gentle engagement. It teaches patience, reflection, and appreciation for phenomena that appear deliberately and silently. The unknown does not demand immediate answers or solutions. Instead, it invites observation, thoughtful study, and quiet imagination. Pilots, scientists, and everyday observers alike participate in this calm exploration, adding layers of understanding and reflection while embracing the beauty of what remains unexplained. Above all, the sky reminds humanity of perspective. Mountains, oceans, forests, and cities exist beneath a vast expanse that is infinite in scale. Stars, planets, and distant galaxies remind observers of the universe's vastness. Objects move silently through the sky, lights glide with precision, and patterns emerge across decades of observation. The endless unknown stretches patiently above, offering a gentle, consistent reminder of the scale and complexity of the cosmos, and of the small but attentive presence of humanity within it. The night continues its steady rhythm. The wind brushes softly across the earth, waves ripple gently, and clouds drift without haste. Observers watch, reflect, and imagine, noting the subtle movements of lights and objects that appear unexpectedly. The unknown remains calm, deliberate, and enduring. Its presence is quiet and serene, offering a sense of connection, reflection, and patient curiosity that transcends the ordinary. The mystery that remains is not frightening. It is a quiet companion, a soft presence that invites wonder, imagination, and reflection. Observers feel connected to something larger, something patient and enduring that exists beyond immediate perception. The calm sky encourages meditation, gentle thought, and appreciation for the subtle marvels of the universe. Each glimpse of the extraordinary is a reminder that the world contains phenomena that cannot be hurried, solved instantly, or fully comprehended. And so, the universe continues, vast, patient, and serene. The sky stretches above deserts, oceans, mountains, and cities, holding secrets and wonders in quiet suspension. Pilots remember movements, radar operators recall blips, civilians reflect on lights, and analysts study evidence patiently. Time flows steadily, the earth breathes softly, and the mystery remains calm, inviting every observer to look upward, imagine, reflect, and rest in the gentle awe of the unknown. The stars shine silently, the moon glows softly, clouds drift slowly, the horizon remains patient, the wind moves gently, the earth and sky continue their eternal rhythm. And through it all, the mystery persists, waiting quietly for those who will observe, contemplate, and appreciate the endless wonder above, beneath, and beyond the familiar world, a gentle lullaby of curiosity, awe, and serene reflection.